Welcome in to Press Box Live. I'm Stan the Fan Charles, along with Luke Jackson and Ross Grimsley. We're all from Press Box and PressBoxOnline.com. Ross is with us via the Zoom down in Florida, the Bradenton area where he lives. Luke Jackson is anxiously awaiting the end of this show so he can head down to the ballpark tonight at Camden Yards to see Shohei Ohtani versus Grayson Rodriguez. We're going to talk about that and a lot more in just a minute. Expert and award-winning AJ Michaels Heating, AC Plumbing, and Home Performances will improve your home's energy efficiency and comfort levels. AC season is coming up fast. It's just like today. You throw another 5-8 degrees on this thing and it's baking. AC season is coming up fast. New rebates and discounts are available. More at ajmichaels.com. And want to give a shout out to our friends at the Costas Inn. I'll tell you a little bit more about them during the course of this broadcast because it is crab season, which makes it especially Costas season. Ross, I don't know how it was when you were a kid, but I remember the late Vida Blue, as of the last few days, came to Baltimore and was lined up to pitch against Jim Palmer at Memorial Stadium in his rookie sensational season. I remember when somebody like Mark Fidrich came to town. I remember when Fernando Mania was at its peak. There's nothing like seeing a matchup like tonight, the two starting pitchers. They actually don't go against one another, but fans love it when there's two big name pitchers.
You haven't seen that very often in the last several years. Plus, you're not going to get the guys that are going to give you very many innings. But Ohtani, I mean, I was looking at his numbers today. He's hitting 287. Right. He's got 8 home runs, 26 ribbies. The Angel team has 18 stolen bases. He has 6 of them, so he has a third of the stolen bases. You take that into consideration, then you see him on the mound pitching. He's been in 8 games, 7 starts. He's went 6 or more innings, I think 6 times. He's went 7 innings 3 times. He's 4-1. He struck out 66 guys in 46 innings, and he's walked 20. So, I mean, this is very rare to see this. It's probably once in a generation or maybe even a lifetime that you'll see a guy. The last one was probably Babe Ruth doing the stuff that he did. But this guy is unbelievable. And to do what he's doing and to be a hitter and a pitcher, that's unbelievable. Be as effective as he is. That is unbelievable.
Let me ask you this, Ross. During your major league career, what was your recovery process like after a 6, 7, 8, 9 inning outing? And can you imagine, having hitting duties on top of your recovery process and getting ready for your next start?
Not playing every day. He pitches. Ohtani pitches every 5 days. We pitched every 4, every 5 days, and pumping out 7+ innings usually, especially with the Orioles when they only had 8 or 9 pitchers on the staff. But recovery time. I mean, you learn how to do it. Very fortunate for me coming to the Orioles from the Reds and learning from Palmer, McNally, Cuellar, who was a big mentor for me. And also watching and talking to Catfish Hunter, Fergie Jenkins, all these great pitchers and what they did and what they didn't do and how to prepare yourself for it. Very fortunate. I mean, this guy don't have that luxury because no one else does this.
Yeah.
It's the first time. So
I don't think was Earl ever asking you to pinch hit in any games?
No. But hell, hey, you had Belanger, you had Paul Blair. 2 guys that played defense as good as anywhere, and they didn't hit as well. Blair didn't hit very well after he got hit in the head.
Yeah,
but their defense was stellar, and that pitching and defense won a lot of times back in those days. But what this guy's doing now is just phenomenal. It's I hope that maybe it's on TV down here. That would be great to see. But Luke, and with Rodriguez, what he's doing, he's learning how to pitch.
Yeah.
And he's got some tremendous stuff, and he's got a great career ahead of him if he stays healthy.
Luke,
Ross is
you've worked-
excited.
Luke,
I'm
you've
fired
worked-
up. I'm fired up with how excited Ross is.
Oh,
Luke,
yeah.
Luke,
I'm not even there.
Luke, you and I have worked together for over 4 years now. I've never seen you as fired up to go to a game like this.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun evening. Hopefully, it's a really good game. Hopefully, the two pitchers we're talking about live up to the billing. This is the first this is the first time I will have seen Ohtani live as a pitcher. I've seen him live as a hitter, not as a pitcher. So I'm really excited.
All right. Hey, guys, came out with my MLB power rankings. A lot of shaking up going on from week to week this year. I said at the beginning of the year there might be a lot of shaking up because there's a lot of competition. I mean, a team like the Braves, they had a rough week this week. I think they went, did they go 2-4?
That sounds
They
right.
went 2-4, and they dropped from second to fifth. And I don't think that's that harsh this week with the way the Orioles are playing and the way the Dodgers are playing. Luke?
Yeah, and you mentioned in your power rankings that the Braves have some issues in their rotation because of injuries, with Max Fried out for at least a couple months and Kyle Wright also out for at least a couple months. So they're digging into that depth right now, and I don't know how well that depth held up in Toronto. That's a tough environment to break out your 6th, 7th, 8th starter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they'll go to Texas this week. That's another tough assignment. That's another really good hitting team. And so that depth is going to be tested. I think you're absolutely right at this point to have the Dodgers as the top team in the NL.
Yeah, and I have to admit, early in the year, I thought I was patting myself on the back that because the Dodgers were struggling the first two to 3 weeks. And I said, hey, I was right and all the experts were wrong. And all of a sudden, the things flipped over again. And the Dodgers, Ross, can you talk a little bit about when there is a winning culture there, even when you downsize the amount of talent you have at the big league level, sometimes the culture can win out, can it?
Absolutely. I mean, the guys start winning, and and you run into the whole deal with when you get a bad streak in the big leagues. If you have confidence in yourself and in your teammates, it's going to turn around. That was the Orioles did that for years. When I first got there, and then when I left, they had that. They knew they were going to win. If they had a bad streak, they lost 2 or 3 games in a row. Just a matter of time. We're going to win. We're going to stay close. We're going to have some downtime, but we're going to win. And they realize that. And a lot of organizations are the same way. They know that it's just a matter of time. And I look at it kind of like Indiana basketball with Bobby Knight.
Mm-hmm.
That they would struggle a little bit till January, and then they would kick it in gear. And you knew that. You just got it. If you followed them, you knew that was going to happen. And the same way with baseball. The Dodgers are going to be good. The Yankees are going to be good. Usually and now with injuries being a big part of it, and there's so many of them, that's the big thing. Tampa Bay's going through that with their starters, and you saw their bullpen has been tired and given it up. The Orioles did it last year. Hopefully they can remedy it with their starting pitching this year. But yeah, you get that, you win, and after a while, and the Orioles are doing it now. These young guys are starting to go, you know what? We must be really good because we're winning, and we played some good teams, and we've held up against them. We beat them. So you start thinking that when you go out, you're going to win. And when you start doing that, it's you got a good thing going.
Luke, impressive performance yesterday by the Pirates right-hander, Mitch Keller, who's I think he's 5-2, having a really terrific season. The ERA was 2.7 before the game, so it probably dropped another 1/10 of a run. Is this a guy that you would put high on your list, when you talk about the Orioles wanting to improve their starting pitching later in the year?
Guy I saw yesterday, he would look really good atop the Orioles rotation. However, I don't think the Pirates are interested in dealing him. Apparently, they've been talking extension with him in recent weeks, so I would not be surprised if they signed him up just like they did with Brian Reynolds. However, if he were made available, and again, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to get a deal done with him, or at least they certainly should. But if they put him out in the market, there are 29 teams that would check in on Mitch Keller. He looked awesome yesterday. And funny, this time last year, he was one of the worst starters in the major leagues. But they always thought that he had the physical capability to do what he's doing right now. And that's
Hey,
what him
hey-
chance after chance after chance.
Yeah.
And finally it clicked. And Ross could probably speak to why it clicks later for certain guys and why it takes 3, 4, 5 years for it to click with certain guys.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, we saw what happened with Kramer. You know, he struggled, and once you learn about what's going on at the big league level, and then you make adjustments, and you learn that some days you're not going to have it, and you're going to get your brains beat in. You know, the thing is to bounce back, and that's the key to the whole thing, is just learning from your mistakes and moving on and keeping, like I said, keeping a level head. You made it to the big leagues. Do what you got to do. They'll let you know when you got to change, and by obviously, taking your licks. But that's something you got to stay positive and believe in yourself. And you start doing that, and then your teammates will start believing in you. But it takes some guys long. I know left-handed pitchers, you got to hang with them a little bit longer because they mature later, and some quicker than others. But that's something that
You haven't matured yet. You haven't matured yet.
no, heavens no. Baseball wise, I was way ahead of my time, with that.
Hey, I put out my power rankings every week. They're out. Luke gets them up on our website, pressboxonline.com, about noon every Monday. Top 10 this week. Tampa Bay at 31-11. Wait a minute, that was last week. Hold on. Tampa Bay is still number 1 at 31-11. I've got Toronto moving up. I thought their sweep of the Braves was impressive. Got the Orioles third. I've got the Dodgers sneaking past the Braves at 4th, Atlanta's 5th, Yankees 6, Texas 7, Minnesota 8, Milwaukee 9, Houston 10. Any big discrepancies there, guys?
I like the Dodgers second. That would be the one thing that I would
got them
do.
moving up that good.
I'm moving up there. They won 13 of the last 15 games, and they're 7 of 8, and they tore up San Diego. 5-1. San Diego is a mystery. Who knows? They're supposed to be a good team. Dodgers also beat Milwaukee. The Orioles are where they're supposed to be. I thought Toronto was 4th, and the Blue Jay or Texas was behind them. That's a flip flop. You can do either one. Those guys have been playing. Toronto's been playing well. The Rangers they're doing a great job. Nathan Eovaldi's on fire, and he hadn't given up a run in a month.
20 plus innings.
Yeah. So the Rangers are 7-2 in their last 9 games, I believe. Blue Jays are starting to come on.
Ross, Ross, you worked with Bochy. You didn't work specifically for him, but you've had a lot of interaction with him. What makes him so? Look, they've spent a ton of money too. And ironically, one of the guys they spent the most on is Corey Seager, and they should be getting him back, I think, in the next 4 or 5 days. But they become a real dangerous team. But what is it about Bochy? It seems like wherever he goes, the winning follows.
Yeah, no, he's a quiet leader as a manager. The people know their jobs and know what's expected of them. I mean, anybody that can handle a team with Bonds on it, that's you got to tip your hat to them, But he's just everybody. Like I said, the big thing, just like with Earl, everybody knew their job, and this is what you're going to do. Just go out and do your thing. But he keeps the clubhouse an even keel. His meetings are low key, but to the point. I saw those in spring training when I was with in spring training, big league camp with the guys. But the players love playing for him. You go out and you bust your butt, you do what you're supposed to do, and there's not a lot of problems. And for whatever reason, he just keeps it mellow and even keeled, which is really something you need.
Luke, did you have much of a problem with my top 10?
No, I think it is just about right. The one team, and we talked about this off the air yesterday, the one team that's really interesting to me in a not so good way is Houston, who you have at 10. I don't know if I would put them any lower, really. I think you've got them in the right spot. But you mentioned Jim Crane's what you call his erratic offseason. And I think that's a perfect phrase for it. Because as you mentioned, paid way too much for Rafael Montero, and Dusty Baker keeps putting him in big spots in games. And they acquired Jose Abreu, giving him a 3-year deal as if this is the MVP Jose Abreu from 2020. It's not. And so and I mentioned this to you. I really think that Jim Crane needs like an alpha GM like Jeff Lunau to keep him in line, so to speak, and to keep the organization running in the direction that it should be. And really, that team is still living off of the work of Jeff Lunau and his group did all those years ago at this point. And that's going to be an interesting team for me to follow throughout the season.
Hey, when we get back on the other side of this break about the Costas Inn, I want to talk little bit about what I read about the benching, what Scott Harris, the new president and general manager of the Detroit Tigers, said about not the benching, but the taking him out of the game for not hustling Javi Baez. Okay. And how the team's played since. I want to get Ross's take on that too. First, I got to tell you about one thing that I think all three of us can agree upon is that this season right now, late April to late May, it's a season your taste buds start really wanting your first batch of steamed crabs. And there's no place better to do it than the Costas Inn. They've been there for 50 plus years at 4100 North Point Boulevard. But 50 years ago, you didn't have to call from your cell phone because you didn't have a cell phone. And you didn't have to call to make reservations for crabs because they were so plentiful. You just went to the bay and put a net there, and Boo Pal used to do it, and he'd come up with his crabs. But the Costas Inn gets a ton of crabs, but they are almost all spoken for. So you got to make your plans early. 410-477-1975, the Costas Inn. Make it a little bit of a crab eating vacation, but plan ahead for the Costas Inn. Guys, we got about 7-8 more minutes of show. Orioles 6:35 tonight take on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Shohei Ohtani versus Grayson Rodriguez. Before we get back to that matchup for a minute or two, I want to talk about, get your take, Ross and Luke, on Scott Harris's comments, sort of giving credit to AJ Hinch taking Javi Baez out of a game for perceived, not keeping his head in the game, where he lost track of the amount of outs. And he says, hey, since then, our team really became more focused and started winning. Can a move like that impact the team, Ross?
Big time. I mean, it shows the manager has got he's not afraid of anything, but in this day and age now, you see it, or in the past, the last five years or so, you've seen more of that. Guys, not hustling down the line, not taking the extra base or home run, ball out of the park, or it's a double and they're
looking at it. They're looking
you just pull your hair out of your head. And a lot of times nothing is said. They'll come over, they'll put their arm around the guy, and you got to run harder. That didn't working. I mean, I've seen it, with the guy with the Weaver. I bring him up because he wasn't afraid to do it. He goes, Billy Martin, another guy. They're not going to stand for that. And you know what? It makes the team look bad. You lose respect for the manager or whoever that doesn't say anything. But when you do that, they go, this guy cares. And if you don't have the wisdom as a player to hustle all the time, anybody can do that. That's the easiest thing in the world. But you're helping the team. But when the team sees a guy do that, and nothing said, oh gosh, now you got a problem. They have to say that, and you got to tip your hat to Hinch for doing that because he cares. And
but he also mentioned the fact that the way that Javi Baez received it and sort of owned up to it, that's got to be part of the equation. If he becomes gets pissed off, the whole thing could blow up a different way, Luke.
Yeah,
and I think
Javi, you do something. Yeah.
I think Javi has played better since then as well.
Yes, he has.
And that's no small reason for why the Tigers have been playing better. Is that their highest paid player is playing better. So, and obviously, last year was a very disappointing season for Javi, and he wanted to get off to the on the right track this year, and got off to a bad start. Like Ross said, lost focus, lost track of the amount of outs, got called out by his manager, not publicly, just not publicly in a press conference or anything, but just made a point about it. Has played better since then. Also, Luis Robert, something similar happened to him. He didn't bust it up the first base line. Apparently, he was like nursing some sort of injury. But if you're in the game, you're expected to hustle.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he was pulled out of that game. And since then, he's been killing it. Been one of the best hitters in baseball since that point. So, it could be coincidence. I mean, these are really talented players, and generally speaking, you bet on talent and it'll come around eventually. But, maybe it isn't coincidence. I don't know. The best managers know what buttons to push, and AJ Hinch is certainly a guy who has experience pushing the right buttons.
Luke, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to lead with you because I'm guessing Ross hasn't seen Kyle Stowers play that much. Kyle Stowers sent out again today, option second time this season. It's the same option.
Right.
But he was 0 for 4 yesterday and didn't come close to hitting a pitch.
Right.
I mean, it was just an awful performance. You've seen him a lot because you live near Aberdeen and you saw him coming up. Is this much of a surprise to you?
Not necessarily. Like you said, I saw him a lot when he first was drafted, when Aberdeen was still a short season team, and then a couple years later when Aberdeen was a high A team. So I've seen a lot of him. I've probably seen him 14, 15 times at this point. And every time I saw him, I said to myself, boy, that's a big swing. It's a huge swing, and there's not much strike approach, not much. He's not trying to cut down with two
not
strikes.
Not a lot of ball to bat the ball skills.
Right. There's a lot of power in there, and when he connects, it's go places. But boy, that's a big swing. But he produced at high A, and I thought to myself, wonder if he's going to produce with that swing at double A, or maybe not at triple A. Well, he did. He produced at double A, and he produced at triple A. In the back of my mind, I'm still thinking that was a huge swing when I saw him. I wonder if he cut that down at all. He didn't. And he got to the big leagues and he got exposed with that swing. And that's not to say that he can't be a very good major league player at some point in the future. He's got some adjustments to make. And I was
Ross, when you see a player like him, a young player like that, succeed at double A and triple A, is it his physical tools, or does it become mental that he's already defeated when he's in that batter's box right now?
Yeah. When you have success at double A and triple A, if you have success there, you should, be able to take it to the big leagues. But again, you have to make adjustments. And when you get to the big leagues, they're going to make adjustments. Then you got to make them. And then when you make them, they're going to make another one. And then now you got to make another one. It's just a matter of,
it never stops.
A matter of recognizing what you have to do.
Yeah.
Now he might not know what he has to do, and he might not have anybody telling him what he needs to do. That's a very possibility.
I find that pretty hard to believe right now with the way the players always stress giving credit to the hitting coaches and all that.
Well, they have a lot of the analytical data, but you got to transfer that to the physical end of it, and to realize and to feel, and like you said, I haven't seen a lot of the kid. I don't know, but a big swing. I mean, and sometimes guys, they don't know how to make the adjustment. They don't have the feel to do it. And that separates your big leaguer from your minor leaguer, your triple A from your double A, and, the minor leagues from the big leagues. You have to be able to make adjustments, and you got to learn and recognize it and understand the feel, of what I got to do. And like I said, some guys, that game was easy. Everybody could do it, but it's not. And there's a lot of mental things to it. Like I said, if you can do it in the minor leagues, the good chance you can take it to the big leagues with you, but there's a little bit more at the big league level, a little bit quicker for you too.
Hey, spinning back around to the Angels, both of you guys, 20 seconds each. The job that Phil Nevin is doing, very reminiscent of the job Rob Thompson did in Philly, taking over from supposedly a really terrific major league manager. In the case of the Phillies, it was Girardi. In the case of the Angels, it was Joe Madden. But Phil Nevin doing a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
he's-
Go ahead, Luke.
Oh yeah, he was with the Yankees as the third base coach for I want to say like 2 or 3 years. When
Yep.
the Orioles were were in the beginning stages of the rebuild, and so he and Hyde know each other, and obviously he and Hyde know each other with Tyler having been in the organization as well. So I know that this is an opportunity that Phil has always wanted to be a major league manager. And it looks like they're off to a solid start this year, and they played better with him last year than they did under Madden.
Yeah, no question about it. Ross, a line about that real quick.
Yeah, no, he, taking over, that's a tough job to do. But, again, even as a manager, a coach, you got to believe in yourself and present, what you know, and, let the players know what their jobs are. That's one of the biggest things that I remember in watching the managers that had success. That's what they had to do. And, you
All
do
right.
that, you got a chance.
Orioles play the Angels 4 times between now and Thursday. Thursday being the getaway day, single game in the afternoon. Luke, is that a 12:35 start?
12:35 start.
All right. So take off of work on Thursday, everybody out there. Hey, last question for today's show. We've talked a little bit about extensions of Adley Rutschman. Glenn Clark has a piece up on the website about while we're waiting for the big extension, maybe they could sign Cedric Mullins to an extension. The Angels, they've got a player coming up at the end of this year. Are they going to be able to extend Mr. Ohtani, or does it revolve around whether the team responds well enough this year and is a contending team for this year? Ross, I'll start with you.
Yeah, that's Ohtani, like you said, he's one of a kind.
And what's he worth? What's he
And
worth?
that's whatever
He's
he
got to be
wants.
worth
Probably.
at least a half a
No,
billion dollars.
whatever he wants. But the
Yeah.
whole thing is, well, with them, they've struggled with getting quality pitching overall, and that has been the big problem they've had, and they have, and I don't know if it's ever gonna, they got the players, they just have never had the pitching, and ever how you want to weigh that. I mean, you got the greatest player probably of the decade or longer.
Who's really played in very few big games. Luke, comment on Ohtani and an extension or a re-signing.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that it really depends on whether he feels like they can put a winning product around him. And so I think this year is extremely important for the Angels to show Ohtani that they can do that, they can put the product around him. And so, I mean, I think he's going to get more than $500 million in free agency from somebody. I think it's that kind of number. And so, and you look at the teams that have the ability to do that. You're looking at the Yankees, maybe the Mets, Giants, Dodgers.
Ross, you've been around a long time. He pitches in a huge market, the Los Angeles market, but he's pitching for the redheaded stepchild, isn't he? In other words, do you think he sort of is longing to be a part of that other Los Angeles?
Everybody
club?
wants to win, and if your organization and you're that quality of player, what are you going to do? I mean, you can give me all the money you want. It's still, everybody wants to play in October, and some people will take less money to do that, and they're going to have to show that or do something, or they're going to lose. They might lose both their horses, at some point in time.
All right. You got the last word tonight, Ross Grimsley. For Luke Jackson, Ross Grimsley, I'm Stan the Fan Charles. Gary Stein and I on Thursday evening at 7:00, we'll have the director of the Maryland Lottery and Sports Gaming, John Martin, will join us this Thursday to talk about some of those new gaming numbers, sports betting numbers for the month of April. Enjoy the game, Luke. I hope you can find it on TV, Ross Grimsley. I'm out of here right now, and I'll see you later. Enjoy it. O's versus the Angels tonight at 6:35 at the Yard.